We're back in beautiful Botswana for the third and final day of the Toyota 1000 Desert Race, the only marathon event on the Donaldson Cross Country calendar. Let's quickly recap what unfolded on day 2 of what's turning out to be an utterly absorbing race.
The Argentine pair of Ronaldo Varela and Gustavo Gugelmin shocked everyone. They were fastest in qualifying and thus started first on day 2. But they quickly came into trouble, allowing the RFS Motorsport team of Christian de Ploy and Henk Janssen van Vieren to take over top spot.
The two Castrol Toyota teams were hot on their heels, and eventually it was the championship defending champions and last year's Desert winners, Anthony Taylor and Dennis Murphy, that went in front.
They stayed there until the finish, leading a Toyota 1-2-3 in Class T, with Leroy Poulter and Rob Howie coming home in second place, followed by the Horns, Johan and Werner from Malalan Toyota.
In Class A in the specials, Lawrence Duplessis and Healy LaRue put in an outstanding performance in their Zarko. They were fastest in qualifying and kept that form throughout day 2.
The battle for second place was far tougher, with the Silvalds, Quinton and Cully from Elegant Fuel leading the charge, but they were tested by the likes of Arthur Barnes and Anthony Usher.
In Class P, as was the case last year, Colin Matthews alongside Rodney Burke led for much of the day, but in the end it was James Watson and John Thompson that crossed the line first.
In Class G, Gareth Woolridge and Boyd Dreyer set the pace in their Polaris.
So Duplessis and LaRue going strong in Class A. But what about those taking part in the Dakar Challenge?
So the Dakar Challenge is a race within the race. To participate to the challenge, you have to register up front. It's really great to see how many cars here in Botswana, coming from South Africa and Botswana, decided to make the challenge and committed somehow to do the Dakar. So this is extremely interesting.
So with 1 day to go, Taylor and Murphy hold a lead of 1 minute and 8 seconds over Castrol Toyota teammates Poulter and Howie, but crucially double the points are on offer, meaning another 25 points are up for the taking.
As for the specials, Duplessis and LaRue were forced to retire, meaning we have a new leader in the Toyota 1000 Desert Race, Quinton and Cully Silvalt.
The bivouac was a hive of activity on the Saturday as teams worked fast and furiously to get their chariots ready, shades of the Dakar Rally.
In the Dakar we don't have as much bush as we've got in Botswana, and that's what does so much damage to the cars. You see, most of our work which we've been doing today is really bodywork damage, so that's what takes a long time. But as far as the bivouac or the overnight, the DSP as we call it, very, very similar. We had no major problems with the cars at all. We seem to have lost a little bit of pace in the last 200 kilometers, which I'm not quite sure what happened, because in the first 200 we were all close within a sort of minute apart, and then suddenly on the last 200 we lost quite a bit of time. So we're busy looking into that. We've made a couple of changes for tomorrow and see if we can do a bit better.
Well, it's basically like a small Dakar. You teach every day, take every day as a challenge for you as well. All the cars took quite a lot of strain today with all the new route and the bodywork, so that's big time. But the guys did very well. They brought the cars back in one piece for us, so that makes our life easier as well.
When we got here, we all immediately thought that this has got a good resemblance to Dakar. The way everyone's set up and just the amount of people here, and it's, you know, all the guys are kitted out. Most of us are camping here in the pits. This is pretty much what Dakar is like.
It certainly is what Dakar is like. Sleep is but a 4-letter word at the bivouac, and I can tell you there won't be much had as the third and final day approaches.
It's an extremely chilly morning here in Botswana ahead of the final day's racing here at the Toyota 1000 Desert Race. The big question is, who will win out this battle between man and machine and the desert? Evan, how are you feeling going into this last part of the race?
Yeah, feeling good. Good with the fact that we're going into the second day, then we made it through the first day. Not too many competitors left, but a full day of unknown out there for us.
Anthony, this is the moment. It's the last straight now. How are you feeling?
Yeah, a bit nervous, I must be honest. we had a tough day yesterday trying to get through the field, and fortunately we got through all right and we came home in the position that I really wanted to be to get the points. But again, the same repeat again today, another 25 points up for grabs. But another long day here in the Toyota Desert 1000, and it's going to be difficult opening the route this morning, but fortunately I got Leroy behind me, so I know I'm not going to get too much pressure from him, and we've got quite a big gap to third, so it's great. I think we've got a good chance.
They certainly do have a good chance. Remember, these two men basically led from start to finish last year.
Not too far behind Castrol Toyota teammates Poulter and Howie.
Remember, Taylor mentioned that double the points are on offer. On day 2, they claimed 25 in the first heat, and now a further 25 is on the table. Can they claim a full house?
Well, time will tell. Now, while Howie is somewhat of a Botswana veteran, Poulter is a rookie when it comes to this race, but he's taking it on like a seasoned pro. Their experiences in the Dakar must certainly come in handy.
In third place, and in another Hilux, Johan and Vanna Horn, they've had a sensational start to the season since moving to Class T. And as I say that, they're being caught by the new leaders in Class A, Quinton and Kali Silvald from Elegant Fuel. They spot the gap, and they through. The Bat Venom leads in Class A and is now third overall.
They're looking for their third win of the season, their only mishap coming in KZN in May. The Horns aren't giving up without a fight and are in full pursuit.
Second in Class A, but more importantly first in the Dakar Challenge, Hutchison and Stassen from Motorite. The defending champions failed to finish their last 2 races, but are going strong here.
Hutchison said that he thoroughly enjoyed their dice with Duplessis and Leroux, as well as the Silvalds, but with the former looking to be out of the mix, it's the Silvalds that they're up against now.
Currently 4th in Class T and 2nd in the Dakar Challenge, Gary Berthold and Siegfried Rousseau from Atlas Copco Ford Racing. They've been impressive since switching to Ford. Their best finish 2nd place in KZN. Speaking before the race, Berthold said it was all about the Dakar Challenge, so they'll be well aware that Evan is the man to catch if they want to get their free ticket to Dakar.
Cyril van Biljon and Philip Herstelman from Atlas Copco are absolutely loving life. They're lying 5th in class.
That could change, though, not far behind them. The men who led for a while on day 1, Christian Duploy and Henk Janssen van Vuren. The RFS Motorsport Ford Ranger quickly closing the gap, but the men in front trying to keep hold of 5th spot.
Let's get a front seat of the action, and very little visibility for Duploy, who's living in the dust of Van Biljon.
This is getting extremely tight. Something's got to give. And Duploy looks like he's had enough. And he's given Van Biljon a gentle nudge, and the Dakar competitor finally gives way. The Ford Ranger climbs to 5th.
3rd in Class A, the duo from the DRC, Eduardo and Ricardo Agazzi in their Bat Spec 4. They found life very tough this year, having failed to finish a race so far. Could things change this time around for the racing veterans?
The other Silvalds, Wichart and Hermann in 4th place. Wichart behind the wheel for the first time.
Hopefully that's not the last time. And oh no, beached in the thick desert sand. They've come to a stop and have dropped. And that's allowed Manfred Schroeder and Jelby Badenhorst from Atlas Copco Ford Racing to go ahead. The Silvalds also dropping a place in class.
Schroeder and Badenhorst have had a superb season so far, winning in KZN, while grabbing 25 points amongst the other 2 races. They're tied at the top of the Donaldson Cross Country Championship as a result.
Jason Venter and Vincent van Alleman from 4x4 Mega World, who are currently in 8th position in Class T. They've been in great form and are also Dakar Challenge entrants.
In 9th place, the Brazilian surprise package, Varela and Guglielmin. Undoubtedly loving life in Africa. They certainly got everyone talking with their performance in qualifying for the Toyota 1000 Desert Race, and while they haven't quite been able to replicate those feats, they've certainly proved that they belong.
5th in Class A, Arthur Barnes and Anthony Usher in their Bat Venom. You can't miss the green. Barnes was amazed at how quick the route was and that he is determined to finish, and they've only failed to do that once in 2014.
Brothers-in-law Michael Whitehouse and Matthew Carlson back together again. The Regent Racing team are 10th in class and are also part of the Dakar Challenge.
Another Regent Racing Navarra, Jürgen Schroeder and his son Daniel, very closely followed by Henny de Klerk and Johan Smallberger in the Treasury 1 BMW.
On board with our Imperial Auto Celeb team, former provincial cricketer Terence Marsh and former box Stefan de Blanche. Stefan competing in his 3rd Donaldson cross-country event, and they've just gone past the Ford Ranger of Loder Brain and Rian Krailing from Rivercon. Other celebs this year including Springbok rugby legend AJ Fenter and Neil Tovey.
He loves the desert, as is proof. Colin Matthews alongside Rodney Burke from Century Racing, the pair currently 1st in Class P in their CR3.
They're absolutely flying and pass Heine Strumpfer and Henry Hichu with ease.
The ever-popular Keith Macanetti and Moalosi Boroto going strong in their Zarco Magnum, 2nd in Class P.
There's a good battle for 3rd in that class. Watson and Thompson currently winning it against Sean Wrights and Michael Abramson from Regent Racing.
So after 70 kilometers in the 2nd heat, Taylor and Murphy lead the way ahead of teammates Poulter and Howie, while the Horns hold on to 3rd spot in Class T.
Quinton and Cully Silvold 1st in the specials, with Hutchison and Stassen not too far behind.
Taylor admitted that he was nervous before today's action, but who knows why? He's an experienced, successful driver and looks to be handling this route with ease. But that said, one can never be too confident.
Poulter and Howie look to have taken half a tree with them for a ride. They've failed to finish in their last outing in Nkomas and will be hoping for a better ending this time around. They look to be in good shape though.
These two experienced their first Dakar together at the beginning of the year and had an incredible start to the race, fastest to the first control point between Rosario and San Juan in Argentina, so they know all about desert racing.
I spoke a little too early about being in good shape, as it looks as if they're pulling over now for what hopefully is just a puncture. Shouldn't have too big an effect on position as the Horns are far behind.
Well, speaking of which, here are the brothers, still in 3rd place in Class T.
Another family affair, this time father and son, Quinton and Cully Silvold, still leading proceedings in the specials. The Elegant Fuel Bat team have really come into their own this season and are serious challengers to take over the throne from Hutchison and Stassen.
Well, speaking of Donaldson Cross Country Championship challengers, Berthold and Rousseau in the Atlas Copco Ford Ranger, very much in the hunt for the Dakar Challenge title.
Still 2nd in Class A, but still 1st in the Dakar Challenge, Hutchison and Stassen from Motorride. The driver admitting that this race has been extremely hard, with left and rights all the way.
Last time we saw Deploy and Janse van Vuren, they were cruising into 5th place in Class T when they overtook Van Biljon and Harselman. This time around, apart from visibility being extremely poor, they're slowing down. And they've come to a stop, and let's hope that the nudge with Van Biljon didn't have something to do with it.
Unfortunately, it looks as if they are out, meaning Van Biljon and Hasselman are back up to 5th place.
In 6th place, championship co-leaders Schroeder and Badenhorst from Atlas Copco Ford Racing, their rear tail light hanging on by a thread.
In 7th position now, the men from South America, Varela and Guglielmin. Brazil might have been knocked out of the World Cup, but these guys are still very much in this race.
Nice to see Wichart and Herman Silvald back up and running. They're 4th amongst the specials despite their earlier hiccup.
No such problems for Yanni Fuss and Yorks Leroux from Rubicon Racing. They're first in Class S.
Well, it's always amazing to see how many fans come out for this event. And you can't miss the bright green bat venom of Barnes and Usher, looking right at home in 5th place.
The DRC team, Eduardo and Ricardo Agazzi, have dropped down to 6th in their bat spec 4. At least they're still competing. DNFs have littered their season so far.
Colin Matthews picked up a horrible DNF just before the end last year. No signs of that at the moment. He and Burke are first in Class B. And I really should learn to keep my mouth shut. They're slowing down and have come to a standstill, holding thumbs that they'll be back en route in no time.
Loop 1 done and dusted. Taylor and Murphy are the men to catch in the productions, 1 minute and 29 seconds ahead of teammates Polt and Howie, while the Horns are exactly 11 minutes off the pace. So far it's been a great day for the Castrol Toyota camp.
It went well. Leroy got a puncture, and then I got about a 3-minute gap, and then I got a flat now about 3 k's from the end, so I drove it in flat. But yeah, it's very sandy and very, very, very tight. But otherwise going well.
Yeah, the cars look pretty beaten up.
Yeah, it's sticks and the trees, that overhanging trees. It's so tight, it's unbelievable. I've never turned so many corners in my life. But yeah, it's going well. It's very nice.
No doubt that the men from Malalan are thrilled with the added benefits of having a works crew assisting with servicing at the DSP. No doubt it's contributed to their terrific 2014. But let's catch up with one of our Dakar challengers in the Ford Racing camp.
It's been a very, very tough morning out there. I tell you what, if you haven't got strong arms and a lot of fitness, the guys are going to be tired today. It's extremely tight, it's treacherous, so got to keep our eyes on the road and the hands on the wheel. Fortunately for the Dakar Challenge, we seem to have just got past Evan in the tight stuff, and we gave him a little nudge and he moved over politely, so it's been good racing and we're leading the Dakar Challenge. Hopefully we can keep it out front there.
So Burkhalter and Rousseau, the front runners for that free entry to Dakar. And over in the specials, Quinton and Kali Silvalt are on top, 1 minute 46 seconds clear of Hutchison and Sterson, with the other Silvarts, Vichart and Harriman, up to 3rd.
As you heard from Gary, it's not often that the productions and specials compete against each other, but this time around, it's certainly the case with the Dakar Challenge at stake.
We battled a bit. Gary got past us as I predicted in the very tight stuff. He gave us a little kiss on the back and went off into the distance, so he's on fire. But otherwise, car's good. We're down to the last lap. We've just got to bring it home now and look after our second.
Yo, it's been crazy out there, but lots of fun. I made one very stupid little mistake right at the start. I beached the car at a stop street, but I suppose rookie error. Lost a couple of places there, but other than that, no problems. Yeah, it's been quite basically a clean run.
While the team still have another loop to contend with, that's not the case with Class G, who do half the distance of the bigger boys.
We heard from his dad Neil earlier. Here's his son Gareth and boy Dreyer capturing victory in their Polaris.
In 2nd place, Daniel van Rooyen and Thijs Grevenstein in their Polaris.
This man knows his motorbikes, but he's settling in very nicely to the side-by-sides. Brian Kappa with Jaco Swart from Regent Racing, they're 3rd.
Lying 4th, Leander Pinard, a man no stranger to winning, alongside Stephen Moret.
And rounding off the top 5, Vanna Mostert and Henna Deploy in a Motonetics Polaris Razor 900.
Oh, it's absolutely huge for me. Since I was a little kid, I dreamt about winning this race. I watched my dad win it in a couple of years in his racing car. And yeah, it's just been a dream for me to win. Obviously, winning in the side-by-side is not the same as winning it overall, but it's a huge accomplishment for me so far, and I think quite an important role in the championship for this year.
What a well-spoken young man, and one who has a massive future ahead of him. Well, back to Loop 2, and it's Taylor and Murphy leaving nothing to chance. After 190 kilometers, they're still well in control of this race.
Polt and Howie have hold of 2nd place. If it remains this way, it will be their second of the season.
Well, they experienced a puncture during the first loop, and Leroy admits that despite it being tricky, the fact that bikes and quads were on this route a day earlier definitely helped them to navigate better.
We saw them arrive into the DSP with the flat. Luckily no issues this time around. The Horns, Johan and Vanna in third place.
The first of the specials, Quinton Silvalt and his dad Cully, the Elegant Fuel team are dominating matters in this race, and if it stays this way, in the championship too.
Lying fourth in the Class T, but crucially first in the Dakar Challenge, Bertholdt and Rousseau from Atlas Copco Ford Racing.
Not far behind them, their main challengers for the challenge, Hutchison and Stassen, and this is going to be a tight finish between these two. Exciting, especially given what's at stake.
They've climbed their way to fifth, championship co-leaders Schroeder and Badenhorst. Schroeder saying earlier at the DSP that while the car is good, they seem to be just off the pace.
Well, we heard from young Wichard Silvalt earlier. He's settling into the driving job, kilometre by kilometre. Him and Dad Herman are still in third spot.
In fourth place amongst the specials, Barnes and Asher. Can they crack the podium with the finish line nearing?
After 250 kilometres, Taylor and Murphy still in front, followed by Poulter and Howie, and the Horns from Malalaan. Bertholdt and Rousseau are still leading the Dakar Challenge, just ahead of Hutchison and Stassen.
The Castrol Toyota team are dominating matters out in the baking sun, with the finish line beckoning. Taylor and Murphy look to be headed for their second consecutive win in the desert. They really do like it out here.
And following on strong, the Hilux of Poulter and Howie. The Dakar boys proving they learnt a few things in the big race.
No surprises who's third. Johan and Van are surely not going to let this slip. A third podium in a row beckons for the Horn brothers.
All eyes on Bertholdt and Rousseau from Atlas Copco Ford Racing. They may be outside the top three, but as you've heard throughout, their prize is the ticket to South America.
Speaking of Dakar, Jaapie Badenhorst took part this year, and the unfortunate crash that he and Chris Visser had meant that Manfred Schroeder took over the wheel, and he's doing very well. They're currently fifth.
Horrible news for Hutchison and Stassen. Their car set alight after their engine belt broke just 2 kilometres from the finish, and their race and Dakar Challenge dream is over. Cully and Quinton Silvalt here first in Class A.
Lying in sixth place in Class T, the Brazilians, Varela and Gugleman. They put in a very impressive showing on foreign terrain.
The leaders in Class S, Yanni Visser and Joks Leroux from Rubicon Racing.
More heartache, Quinton and Cully Silvalt are now out. It means that the other Silvalts are first, with Barnes and Asher up to second.
Well, lying in 7th place in Class T, Henny de Klerk and Johan Smallberger in their Treasury 1 BMW, an excellent performance and certainly one of their best showings.
The leading Regent racing car, the celebs Terence Marsh and Stefan Terblanche, they're 8th.
Not far behind, another Regent racer, the father and son pair from Germany, Jürgen and Daniel Schroeder, 9th despite rolling.
Second in Class S, Loder Brain and Rian Hreiling in the Rubicon Racing Ford Ranger.
Heartbreak again for Colin Matthews, a DNF for him, meaning James Watson and John Thompson have taken over the lead in Class P.
Second in that class, Sean Wright and Michael Abramson from Regent Racing looking for their second consecutive finish.
And rounding off the top 3 in Class S, Peter Ruthven and Hansi Reeder in the Rubicon Racing Toyota.
The final competitors still going strong, Keith Makaneta and Maloisi Borofo in their Zarko Magnum. Their Hilux has seen better days, but there's no denying that Taylor and Murphy are the real deal. What an outstanding performance from the pair once again. They're cruising to the finish. And there it is, the winners in production, Anthony Taylor and Dennis Murphy.
Anthony, you guys have done it yet again, and you made it look so easy. You got out that car and it looked like you just stepped off the beach.
I must be honest, it's never easy at the Toyota Desert 1000, and I must say today was no exception either, because it was tough out there today. It was very tight and twisty, and Dennis did a sterling job keeping me on the road the whole time, and to pull off a win here in Toyota country is just absolutely phenomenal with the amount of spectators and support that Toyota gets out here. It's just absolutely phenomenal. So what a brilliant result for us, 1, 2, 3.
Another fabulous drive from Taylor and Murphy, finishing ahead of their teammates Poulter and Howie, with the Horns coming in third. As a result, Taylor and Murphy take sole possession of the Donaldson Cross Country Championship League.
In the specials, Wichard and Herman Silval take the win, their second consecutive victory at the Toyota 1000 Desert Race.
lady luck really shined on me today. I feel so terrible for the guys that broke down, but I would like to take this moment and just thank a few people. First of all, my father here next to me for letting me bash up his car in the Botswana bush and having the balls to sit next to me all that way. And secondly, everyone on our team, the technical assistants, they work so hard. And without them, I mean, obviously there's no way we could do this.
A proud moment for the father and son team. What a driving debut from Wichert. Big future awaits. Barnes and Asher finished second, while James Watson and John Thompson rounded off the podium.
They may have finished fourth in class, but Gary Berthold and Siegfried Rousseau from Atlas Copco Ford Racing were crowned the winners in the Dakar Challenge.
Absolutely amazing. We've come here 3 times to try and do this. This is our 3rd entry. I take my hat off to Siegfried. He knows this desert inside out, and he certainly showed me the road to bring it home to win this fantastic Dakar Challenge. This Atlas Copco Ranger kept us on the road. Siegfried kept me on the straight and narrow, and I'm really grateful for the team for what they've done.
Next month, it's one of the jewels of South Africa and the flagship event of the championship, the Force Fuel 450 at Sun City.
It's without doubt one of the highlights of the year. Don't miss it, only on Supersport.
The Donaldson Cross Country Championship, brought to you by Donaldson Filtration Systems, a market leader in filtration solutions.